since we're kind of already talking
Yeah.
about it, I guess maybe some people who are more Cherry fans were a little upset, considering that they thought that many times in your career that he had went to bat for you, which I'm sure he did.
Yes, he did. Yeah, both of us went to bat for one another, and in this case, honestly, all I can say to that is because it is a hard thing to feel like, when you're a player. You fought how many fights on behalf of a teammate? And when I always kind of likened Don and me to two American Hockey League defense partners. We weren't quite, right. We weren't quite, the language wasn't perfect. Our attempts to teach honor and everything was like Don Quixote. It was always a farce, him and Sancho Panza. But we were consistently there with me, the left-wing pinko communist, and Don, the right-wing, whatever he is. It was good to see that reflection of two guys so different that could work together, and then I felt like we were kind of in a foxhole. And then on this crazy event, which was just Don projecting a behavior on people because of where they come from, and got it wrong, but his decision was not to say sorry and do whatever. You'd have to ask Don what he said. They made it impossible, which I can't believe they would make it impossible for Don. But anyway, he just decided what he decided, and I had no control, right? I woke up after a night at the Trappers in Welland.
Well, he was in Welland when this all went down.
Yeah, doing the hometown hockey.
And it was hard for me to watch, a Canadian icon and what you guys had done for hockey collectively. Yeah. It was hard to watch you go through that, and I'm sure it was just as hard for Don because you were between a rock and a hard place where this is your livelihood, and everyone can tell this means a lot to you doing this job.
Right.
And, having to come on the next day and already have something written or to say something, people felt like you threw him under the bus when, I didn't look at it that way, and I knew how bent out of shape you were about it, and it was sad.
It was important to get, what I really hated about it all was that, as you know, we were shooting at your mom and dad's, and then we were shooting, we did a meet and greet, a corporate event, and then we did stuff for the Canada Winter
Games. The whole day.
It was just like nonstop while I was on the phone.
Your mind's racing
Badly, and I remember the one sort of request from Rogers was, when you apologize, Ron, try not to cushion it with Don's a great guy, and try not to, just try to be unequivocal and clear about what you're trying to say. And I was really scrambling to do that. So I did my quick apology, which I wanted to do because I felt bad, Ryan, that we had, it was an inadvertent mistake, but it was a mistake. And it was it's just one of those things that, in my little world, Don knows my politics, my ethics. I am kind of that do-gooder that feels strongly about stuff like that. So I was upset that it kind of went sideways on us, and I wanted to apologize. And I kind of thought Don would. So I never really dreamt that it would get so wild so fast, and that's the power of that quick, right? And there was no real circling back, so it was just out of our control. But like I said, 34 great years, and hopefully Paul was asking, how are you doing with Don now? And I email over there, and I wonder if he even sees the emails because Don's not the most tech savvy guy. Anyway, that'll come. That'll be the last
time heals.
Right. We'll figure that part out because I can't imagine that he doesn't still take a shine to all we've been through together. Like, we've been through some crazy moments together. And as far as, Don would have kept his job if he wanted to keep his job. So the idea that I threw the bus, or ran the bus over him that's just not fair. But I understand it. I totally understand why it feels that way. What I think is really fascinating, there's so many elements to this, but when you, as I did, sort of talk about an aspirational choice, I had to pick what I felt right over friendship, and that just doesn't appeal to the heart.
Right.
People want loyalty. People want friends for life. They don't want to hear that somebody's picking the intellect. It's kind of an intellect decision, which has no appeal, especially in our business. Our business is all about heart.
But it's not always black or white.
No, you don't want your kids to just go along and do the wrong thing, right?
Your best friend, he's your best friend, but this is an example. He does something awful. It's like loyalty only goes so far. And I think you make sense. What I was going to say about the entire thing is, like, Biz has mentioned it before, playing wise, that's why there's the cool off period before the media come in. But when stories break like this story was so big, it's like everyone wants an answer right away. It's like, just if you didn't rush people into giving the immediate reaction, it's like things would be said different. But part of the rush makes it hard. But it was a crazy time. I know that in the end, I think my opinion is when the dust settles, it'll be about the memories, and in years
For
down
sure.
the line, and even the fans will be like, those coaches' corners, those hockey night in Canada, Saturday night, living on two guys who had this relationship where they were friends, but also would argue. In the end, that'll be what's remembered.
Yeah, I agree, Ryan. I
hope you know that.
I feel that. Yeah, I just know because I know what we went through.
Yeah.
I know, like I said, 2 American hockey together. I remember us looking for beer in Pennsylvania. It's hard to find beer in Pennsylvania, right? So we were like 2 desperate souls wandering around the south side of Pitt looking for a beer distributor. And I thought to myself, well, that reminds me of what it must be like for the 2 guys that roll off the bus in the AHL. Hoping to find beer.
Yeah. Right.
That's why you use the AHL defenseman term. Yeah.